Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 44 of Empty the Bench, a special 4th of July edition of Empty the Bench with Nick Morgasen, Nick Fodera, and Tom Albano. First of all, happy Independence Day, happy 4th to all of you celebrating. A little more special of a 4th because it's a week, it falls on a weekend, so.
We hope you're staying safe out there, folks.
Yeah, be safe, be careful, and
celebrate responsibly.
And if you're a Redskins fan, just be careful what you wish for.
Well, we're gonna get to that,
boy.
Well, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. That's gonna be in the second half of the show. We do have some NFL to discuss. Yes, for the first time, dividing our show into two little parts here, 10 and 10. We're gonna spend 10 minutes on the NFL in just a little bit. But first, our top story is the NBA. We have several headlines in the NBA and the NFL. First of all, in the NBA, a possible second bubble. Obviously, we know of the 22 teams heading to Orlando to resume play on July 30th. However, now there is, this was rumored before, but now is officially being reported that there may be a second bubble for the 8 teams who will not be partaking in the end of regular season and postseason play, for them to train, have games, pretty much stay in shape while the other teams compete for the NBA title.
And conduct business, right? Interviews if need be,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
So can we, if it's in Chicago, can we just call it the Chicago Babble?
Well, what were they calling it?
Yes, for coming out to the Chicago Babble.
What were they calling it? The Disney bubble down in Florida? I mean, but I don't know.
When an actual physical dome, like made out of high-grade polyurethane. I mean, it's a metaphorical bubble, and those are never fun.
No, well, when you're talking metaphorically, why don't we just ask how Adam Silver and Roger Goodell run their leagues? That's all metaphorically at this point.
Yes, because they did conduct a lot of coronavirus tests, and quite a few people came back positive.
But let's get into the bubble. So, as Tom said, there is a second bubble being reported in Chicago for the 8 other teams that were not playoff bound, all the terrible teams.
So the Knicks, the Bulls,
your garden variety dumpster fire teams.
Yeah, essentially everybody who could care less about going to the bubble because their team didn't make the playoffs. But all right, so we have a second bubble in Chicago, eliminated teams. That's interesting, but that's not the top story. So a story was put out by USA Today, and I think it was also done by Brian Windhorst of ESPN also, that the financials for running this bubble for the next couple of months. And when I saw the number, I said, okay, what is this number made of? Is it that the travel expenses? Is it the DJs and the movie theaters and the 24/7 concierge service that's in the bubble? Or is it just regular expenses? So the number I'm talking about, it's going to cost the NBA $150 million for 3 months to be in the Disney bubble.
So Disney is not footing any of this bill. Let's be clear on that. They, however, have, I'm sure, operating expenses to get everything staffed and running well enough for the players to actually use it. But yeah, did anybody think this wasn't going to be an enormous financial undertaking?
I thought it was going to be more.
Actually. Yeah, I did too. I thought you would have at least gone to $200-300 million.
Not just that, but you don't even know if this thing is going to get off the ground now with all these different players and coaches. Either they're testing positive or they're electing to opt out and stay home with their families. So you don't know if this thing is even going to get off the ground on July 30th. You don't know if this thing's going to get off the ground. I mean, it may get off the ground, but it may get interrupted by another spread.
And it may get off the ground and pretty much bury right about 6 feet underground at this point.
I was going to say, Adam Silver did say that if there's another outbreak in this Orlando bubble, and we already know Florida cases have spiked as of late.
They haven't spiked. They've skyrocketed, but that's
skyrocketed.
Well, we have an issue here. So we're seeing tons of players testing positive, and if I go down our rundown list here, because Tom and I were conversing about changing some of this up because a lot of news came out on the NBA yesterday. So the Clippers, the Nuggets, and I think the Heat all closed their facilities after quite a few cases of coronavirus. Now, according to all the sports leagues, they're having this cry foul. Oh, I can't say what the names are because, and I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, journalism geniuses here. You can't say the names. HIPAA laws, right?
You cannot. HIPAA laws, absolutely. That's one of the things that's absolutely ironclad. However, if this experiment's going to work,
I was going to say, well, taking a little bit out of sports here, HIPAA obviously, protects the privacy of patients. However, it has caused in this athletic workplace and in outside of workplaces issues when people don't speak up when they are diagnosed with the coronavirus.
Yeah,
right.
So it's entirely up to the players to disclose whether they have tested positive or are feeling symptoms at all.
Well,
so
the problem you have here with this bubble, and now we're seeing more issues that the bubble could be in jeopardy because you're just seeing more and more guys testing positive for the virus. So I don't know how, and I think I told you guys a week ago, Adam Silver's not staying in the bubble.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, he's not even going to be in Orlando.
Isn't that hypocritical, though?
No, I heard he's going.
But did you really think he was going to?
I heard he was going to be in the bubble to start, and then he was going to go back and forth.
But how does that make any sense?
Oh, no, I was going to say it's still hypocritical. It's still
hypocritical.
No, that wasn't why I said it was hypocritical. I think it's hypocritical. First of all, because I think Nick said it. Wouldn't you have to quarantine separately every time you go in and out of the bubble?
Yeah, it's more than a little cowardly, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, because you're letting your players take the risk, but that is a risk that you yourself are unwilling to take.
Right, and also considering, if he is truly going back and forth, there are some states, like right here in New York, via Governor Andrew Cuomo, that if you come from one of these cases where, states where cases have skyrocketed, you have to quarantine for like 14 days.
14 days. And look, I've said this before. I've been saying it since this whole concept of the bubble has been announced. This was only ever going to be an experiment. This isn't going to work, or it isn't going to work in the manner in which Adam Silver wishes it is. It is wishful thinking. I keep saying those words, but they keep applying in this situation.
Well, we got 3.5 weeks until the bubble officially kicks off with the return of the NBA. So we'll see, first of all, if we get to that point. And we'll see if it's even doable, if everything runs smoothly. For example, like the UFC. Let's take a look at the UFC. Obviously they're in one location now with Nevada. Well, now for the month of July they're going to be in Fight Island, and fortunately they have had limited cases. I think they've only had 3 cases, but it's
Fight Island.
Yes, it's actually Abu Dhabi. Okay,
Fight Archipelago. The SS fights a lot.
But what I don't understand about this whole situation is the NBA had this foolproof plan that they said they were going to go into a bubble and we're going to take care of all the players, and you expect positive cases because that's what we were expecting. And guess what? We're getting positive cases now.
Think about this. I know President Trump's speech last night was very controversial, very, as people are saying, divisive. But he and Adam Silver have both said something very similar as of late, in that here in America, we're going to have to deal with the coronavirus. Like, there is no end in near sight.
And it was just about as hollow and cowardly a statement as I would expect out of the both of them. I would have expected better out of Adam Silver, though.
But one quick point, because then we got to move on here. So there was 2 NBA coaches, the Lakers coach, Lionel Hollins, and I can't remember the Pelicans coach. It's on our account. If you go check it out at ADTB Sports, I put those 2 things up. Now, they are in the older range. So they were red flagged, meaning that they can't go down to the bubble.
As was Marv Albert, as a matter of fact.
Well,
yeah, Marv.
I think Ian Eagle is going down there, and I think he's doing TNT and NBA TV. But you're right, Marv Albert and Hubie Brown is also not going down there as well. Remember, he's in his 80s, along with Marv Albert.
So this is going to be not just purely experimental, but like with the NBA, they gotta have. And these teams, rather, I should say, they gotta have like Plan B, Plan C, Plan D, Plan E.
And I'll say this just to wrap up my thoughts on it. You've invested a significant chunk of change into making sure this works or works the way you want it to. What happens if it fails? What are you going to do if it fails?
You're in
Where
trouble.
does that leave you? From the PR standpoint and from the human collateral standpoint.
I mean, I think that works with just about any of these leagues, like with the MLB. What happens if a player tests positive, and they're playing a road game? The UFC with this Fight Island. What happens if somebody tests positive on Fight Island very late into the process after they've been in contact with everybody? I mean, the UFC, as a matter of fact, by the way, because we got some traction on this last night from my MMA reporting, the UFC just lost its main event for next week's card. Gilbert Burns testing positive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that was big news. But just to finish this off so we can move on,
the
NBA is in trouble. I think the NBA is in big trouble. Do I think they start on July 31st? No, I don't think they start on July 31st. So they got to get this S word cleaned up, because I'll be nice about it. And,
I was going to say, maybe this is a realization. If it gets out of control, maybe it would be best to just cancel the rest of the season and try again for 2020-2021 season.
But yeah, we'll see what happens, and hopefully they play. Hopefully LeBron James or Giannis don't end up with the virus, and then you end up with a huge PR nightmare. But speaking of PR nightmares, let's move on to the NFL. And do I want to say the Washington no names? That's how I'm going to say it right now.
Well,
Washington Snyders.
All right, so we know the story here. The Washington Redskins have been asked to officially change their name. Obviously, this has been a movement for quite some time in the NFL, but now it has fully go into effect as a result of FedEx, the main sponsor of the team. I think the team's stadium's namesake,
FedEx Field.
FedEx Field.
Yeah.
And by the way, the FedEx CEO, a minority owner of the Washington Redskins. Now that they have spoken up, guys, what do we say? When the sponsors speak up, that is when the change happens.
When you hit Dan Snyder in his wallet, that's when you feel it.
It's very
no amount of righteous social pressure, and it was right, and it was absolutely righteous. It was the right thing to do to change the name, but no, this snake does not understand things that are not from money. So
I was gonna say it's as much. Because not just applying here, but applying to the Cleveland Indians, the Edmonton Eskimos, who all have also released statements about potential team name changes. It's as much a business move as it is a social move.
What about the Cleveland Indians?
It's got nothing to do with social move. What makes him look good.
You could throw in the Cleveland Indians as well. And
They
did. And I got to say, they have bandied a couple of names around. Now, we must add this as a caveat. Context is necessary. They are putting together a team to possibly research the effects of changing the name. Not that they are committed to changing the name.
Analytics.
Even in times like this, you had, fence sitting never goes away.
Right. Well, keep in mind, just going to the Cleveland Indians for just 1 second. Because this is stuff we've already talked about, like back in the unspoken days.
We were talking about the Redskins too. Remember?
Right. Well, no, but I'm saying like Chief Wahoo. Basically, they haven't. Chief Wahoo, let's be clear, hasn't been used as the main logo for a while, but it was officially retired during our unspoken days.
Well, there's one issue here as well. What about the Braves? The Braves are another one as well.
And that's going to be another issue you're going to run to. Everyone's going to point the Braves, the Chiefs, even the Patriots.
Well, of those, I'd say Redskins is really the only one that's essentially a slur.
Well, I'll make one point here. So some of the companies they were talking about was PepsiCo and FedEx, which obviously we just said is the minority stake. I think they said the total number was like $620 million worth of companies and shareholders and investors, and the Redskins are pressuring Daniel Snyder, which, by the way, in my opinion, is one of the dirtiest owners in all of the NFL.
No. He is the dirtiest.
And the reason I say that is because I think he said last year, and I don't remember the direct quote, but he said, I will never change the name of the Washington Redskins.
And actually, from a business move, just one couple of quick things here to wrap things up. Some are saying that even outside of the name controversy, it may be time for like a name rebranding when you consider just how bad Washington has been for years. After a team has been so bad for so long, maybe a new logo, a new team name sounds a little more refreshing.
Well,
I was in diapers the last time they were good. But again, this has nothing to do with the performance of the football team, and everything to do with why is this the only other team that still has a racist slur as their team name? You can still make money off of any kind of rebranding you do. By the way, Washington Red Tails was one of the names that was bandied about.
Red Tails, which is to honor a specific like Air Force
or to pilot unit, all black.
It was the tips of the airplane were the same color. That's why they were using Red Tails.
The Red Tails regiment was all black in World War II. So again, that's a great name. That's a great thing.
The other favorite, by the way, the Washington Warriors, because the logo of the team is a warrior, a Native American warrior.
And I also heard the Red Dragons was another one I heard also.
Red Dragons, another. Over for the Indians, the favorite is the Cleveland Spiders. Actually, the Washington Warriors and the Cleveland Spiders.
They were trending.
The teams have trademarks on those names, I believe.
Again, the Cleveland Spot, that was their name back in what, 1920
something, 10 something.
Yeah. It was a long time ago.
So there is precedent. So there is precedent there. However, I honestly think that any kind of, again, this is not without precedent that teams change their name to something less racist. Need I remind you guys what the St. John's basketball team?
No, I know.
What their name was before they were the Red Storm. They were the Red Band.
Well,
and you can't do that anymore.
Here's the issue: you could pull this out for any team that you're talking about. Let's take our own hometown team, the Yankees.
That's not a racist slur.
No. Well, actually, Nick, it's funny that you say that because there is a group that is saying, well, I shouldn't say group, but just people like, oh, why don't we change the name of the Yankees because that has too much Confederate ties. By the way, you all need a little history lesson because that was a slur used by the British to describe us when we were fighting for our independence.
Right, that's right.
Yes, it comes from a Dutch word meaning hillbilly.
See, the problem is, now I don't know what you guys think about the Redskins team, if you think people are making too much of a big deal out of it or not, but I think it's more about the product on the field, not the name of the team itself, right?
I mean, you could make that argument, but I do think that you do need to change the name.
I think it's an all-around problem. I think that team has just been so bad. And the people who have been running this team for the last, I don't know how many years now, have just been absolutely disastrous. That team has been nothing but a dumpster fire with a few exceptions here and there, namely one season.
And popsicle stick legs.
I was going to say, namely for one season that RG3 actually did well as the quarterback of that.
RG3, I thought that was some kind of robot.
Yeah. You sure that's not some kind of perfume brand?
Well, all right, but let's get to a few points here. So, cancellation of weeks 1 and 4, and then the NFLPA, and there's a great Twitter account, I think it's called Around the NFL, that broke news that the NFLPA board is talking about canceling the whole preseason.
Right,
now,
the weeks 1 and 4 are official. It's going to be the first time in a long time we're not going to see Giants-Jets either in the preseason or regular season. Jets-Eagles also canceled. Those are more local games here where we are. But now there is that movement to cancel the entire preseason. And it actually goes back to what we said something about last week. Last week we talked about the potential of, a universal DH in baseball with the baseball now coming back. And there has been a movement just like that to cancel the entire preseason for some time. You've had some people say it's going to lessen the amount of injuries, that teams suffer during the preseason. Others will argue the opposite, or will say that the first couple of weeks will be trash kind of play. But it's like we said, if that happens and the entire preseason is canceled, it's just going to be like with the university. It's going to be experimental. This is going to be something. It's going to be a test to see what it looks like.
The exact same problems that you're going to run into with the MLB and the NBA and really all North American sports. You're going to run into with the NFL. Don't think you're going to be immune to it because you won't.
All right, and then
pun not intended, of course.
Few extra points here. So Tom brought this up and broke it on our Twitter account. Actually, NFL is going to be playing a black national anthem to play with the Star Spangled Banner for Week 1 games.
Lift every voice and sing is the name of it. You have some people saying, it's good because basically you have some who are saying it should just be the one national anthem, and you have others saying, and you have some to those points who are saying that this sounds divisive, playing two different national anthems, and then you have others saying it's a celebration of all cultures.
You don't even, I'm inclined to agree with that, but again, I've always been of the opinion that you shouldn't have the national anthem at all.
It's an interesting point. It's an interesting point to see what will happen, and they'll be kneeling for sure. You saw the Kaepernick documentary that's coming out for Netflix. That's going to dominate the news in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see. But go to the final headline because we're running out of time here.
Yeah, and actually, to your point, Nick Fodera, by the way, the UFC doesn't have a national anthem played before its events because it's a global sport.
Right.
Yeah.
So now one last point here because we're way over time. NFL, 7 SoFi Stadium workers. SoFi Stadium, by the way, is supposed to be the new home of the Chargers and the Rams. Well, the Rams and the Chargers. The Rams are the higher tenant. At least 7 have tested positive for COVID-19. So I guess that stadiums may not be ready for the.
Yeah, that's not going to be ready. I think the NFL is in trouble. MLB's already in trouble. NBA's already in trouble. Now the NFL, who says they're going to start on time. Yeah, good luck with that.
I doubt that, Roger. All right, so that's going to do it for us here on this edition of Empty the Bench. Go across the bottom there. Go like us on Twitter at ETB Sports. You can obviously here on Facebook. Just click our profile up above our video here. And give us a like, give us a follow. Go to emptythebenchsportspod.weebly.com. All our past episodes from our podcast days, all our current live streams, all our editions of Bench Talk. More.
And we have a great interview coming up on Monday as well.
Yeah, we have Kyle Glazer. We have Kyle Glazer of Baseball America. We're going to talk about all the minor league controversy, what the future minor league baseball holds as a result of this shortened 60-game MLB season. But that's going to do it from us. We've babbled for too long. Everybody go enjoy the rest of your 4th of July. I'm Tom Albano along with Nick Fodera, Nick Morgasen, Joey Chestnut, and Igasono, by the way, setting records for hot dog eating.
Oh, God. All right. That's enough. Now I'm getting sick thinking about hot dogs.
Go eat some hot dogs, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Your turn to eat hot dogs, everyone. Good night.
Good night.